Sorry for the delay. We'll start this June 11th, 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. David, do you want to do roll call?
Mark Danielson,
Yes.
Nate Laux,
Here.
Brian Cager.
Here.
3 present. Quorum.
Item number 3, did everyone get a chance to review the minutes from last meeting?
Yes.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 David, you need to do, okay. Item number 4 on the agenda, variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 20 feet to 6 feet. Will the petitioner step forward, please?
Thank you for coming.
Hi.
Hello.
If you would, give us a summary of your application.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we didn't know that we needed a permit for it, so we just pretty much just close. It's still a porch. It's not like we trying to build a bedroom or anything like that. I mean, my mail's still in there, and I like it that way. That way, if I have packages coming in, I can keep him safe a little. So it's just, we just closed it because my bedroom is sitting on, half of my bedroom is sitting on the porch, so it gets really cold. So that's why we decided to close, but like I said, we didn't realize we needed a permit for it, so
To clarify then, the work has already been done.
almost, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. David, do you want to?
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, yes. I'll open it up at this time for public comment.
You may sit down, you're fine. Thank you.
No public comment, I'll close that. David, do you want to give staff a read?
Yeah, so item number 4, variance of development standards 24-03, is to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 20 feet to 6 feet. As was noticed, in alliance with the zoning ordinance requirements for public notice in the newspaper, as well as the certified mail to adjacent property owners surrounding the property at 308 Weller Avenue. If you go to the next slide, or next 2 slides actually, yeah, so that's the one I wanted there. So the petitioner proposes to fully construct a fully enclosed porch to the front of the existing single-family dwelling within 12 feet of the front property line. On May 31st, 2024, city staff met with the applicant, or I met with the applicant and measured the distance from the front property line to the front porch to ensure the correct front yard building setback. City staff concluded that the appropriate variance request for a reduction in the minimum front yard building setback for construction of the fully enclosed front porch should be corrected in the record to indicate a reduction from 20 feet to 12 feet. Since this is going backwards, it's not going any more than what was noticed, which is okay. So just going through, if you go to the next slide, it should show a photo of the existing porch as half finished there. Yeah.
Can you bend that just a little? Can the TV bend? Be bent a
Oh,
little?
yeah. That's,
Oh,
Thank
perfect. Thank you. That's perfect.
yep. All right, so basically, so you see the porch is there. If you go to the next slide, it should show, when I met with the petitioner, you can kind of see that the second floor goes over the top of the front porch and kind of extends within that plane. And then if you go to the next slide, this will show some of the view down Weller Avenue, the surrounding properties. As you can see, the property in the back, kind of with that angled roof or hip gable roof there that kind of extends out. That property is actually 6 feet towards the front yard property line, which is roughly around the sidewalk. Go to the next slide. And just more of the surrounding property to the immediate adjacent property. Same kind of front porch enclosure. And if you go to the next slide, just the same thing, just showing some of the adjacent streets there. And then the next slide, okay, that one didn't make it in there, but the last slide was supposed to show the 12-foot measurement to the roughly where the property line would be when I met with the applicant at the property. So staff does find that the proposed reduced setback for the variance of development standards is in compliance with the zoning ordinance and does conform to the goals and policies of the countywide land development plan. The petitioner's request to allow the proposed reduction in the minimum front yard building setback is compatible with the already permitted residential dwellings in the general vicinity. So staff recommends approval of the petitioner's request to allow the reduction of the minimum front yard building setback from 20 feet to 12 feet for construction of the fully enclosed porch at 608, well, actually, should be 308. 308 Weller Avenue. And so I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Yeah, David. So just to clarify, because we don't want a bunch of people building and then asking for forgiveness, right? This is something you would recommend for approval even if this wasn't started already and things like this. You're okay with this project, correct?
Yeah, based on the consideration of the surroundings and the property that it's on, staff would recommend approval of this kind of improvement to the property.
And it doesn't look, to me, I'm down this road all the time on Weller, it doesn't look any dissimilar to other houses that have done similar.
That's correct.
It looks good, by the way. I've driven by it many times, it looks good.
David, before we move on to the next step, do we need to bring Mark back to this screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can
Are
see
we
him,
ready
yeah.
to take a vote? Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
Yep, let's take a vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still here.
All right, good.
So, do we want to make a action or take action on this?
I will. And as a quick reminder, again, because we don't want a bunch of people asking for forgiveness after you start a project, I understand zoning laws are really, really hard, right? They can be hard to know where things are at. What you could do 20 or 30 or 50 years ago is not maybe what you can do now. My dad is a former construction person, so don't be afraid to call and bug David if you have a question. He will be happy to answer that, okay? I actually will vote I nominate that we approve this project as stated.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 4, I'm sorry. Where's my items?
I'm just. It's a busy meeting.
Item number 5 is a request to change the sign height from 6 feet to 10 feet tall. Would the applicant please step forward?
Hi, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. So the reason for my being here present is we live in a commercial residential zone area. I measured my yard sign, it is 10 feet. And the reason for that is because my neighbor next door has his driveway. We live in the back of an alley, and that's the only exit is that the driveway or the alley that we both share. So before I used to have a small little bush on the corner of my grass, but it would impede him looking to the left with oncoming traffic because we're located on Lincoln Way, right where the East Walgreens is located. So the reason I had removed the bush a while back because it was blocking his view. So the only reason for me putting the sign that high of 10 feet was simply just so that it wouldn't impede to him turning left or seeing the incoming traffic. So therefore, I'm requesting if I can allow it, if you guys can allow it to leave it at that height, simply for the safety issue. And I've gone through the Indiana department, they didn't request any permit. It's not by the sidewalk, it's about three feet from the sidewalk where the post is at. It's 8 inches away from the siding of my home. And the only reason that I do it is just to promote my business, which is house washing. I don't know if you guys seen my little blue signs everywhere, but I do offer pressure washing, and it's a way to hopefully get more business for myself, as it's my only source of income.
Yeah. And I wish your business a lot of luck, because
I
that's
appreciate it.
great. It's good to have hardworking people in our community. So your concern here, just to clarify, is there's a safety concern. So to go to our standard 6-foot sign would be impeding the safety of your neighbor, right?
Correct. So the sign that I have at my house, it's 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
By 8 feet wide.
Uh-huh.
It sounds big, but when you look at it, it doesn't look that big, at least I think. But again, if I were to put it 6 feet, then the sign being 4 feet, going from 6 feet to 4 feet, it would obstruct the view of him looking. He would really have to get past the sidewalk, and then the mailbox is there, so it really affects him looking at it. And likewise, we use that driveway as well, because we get along, and I don't have a driveway in, because my only exit is the alley. But I use his driveway, and likewise, sometimes people speeding through Speedway, you can't really see, and you really have to go towards the street, and that's really the only reason that I had it built that high.
And you say your posts are 3 foot from the sidewalk, are they?
Yeah, so the actual post sign, so
Okay.
So it's at 10 feet, and then minus 4 feet would be 6 feet. And then the actual measuring from the sidewalk to the actual post, where the post begins, is 3 feet. And obviously the 10 feet, or the 6 feet and the 10 feet is much higher, so it doesn't affect any pedestrians walking on the sidewalk. So and we have like just a porch there, so we're able to see all directions as well. But yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for your time.
And good luck to your business.
I'm sorry?
Good luck to your business.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
This time I'll open it up for public comment. Hearing none, I'll close that portion. David, you want to give us a?
So item 5, variance of development standards 24-04, petition to exceed the maximum sign height from 6 feet to 10 feet tall. The property is located at 515 East Lincoln Way. And if you go to the next slide, it'll show the location. The property is outlined in red, as you see there, is zoned the B2 General Commercial District. Historically, this property has been used as a single-family dwelling and home occupation site for this family business office space. For the business as described by the petitioner. The petitioner proposes to exceed the maximum sign height from 6 feet to 10 feet tall, and the size is approximately 32 square feet in total sign area, which currently meets the size requirement. If you go to the next slide, this is the sign that is up right now to the 10 feet tall that the petitioner is requesting. As you can see, is on the post there. Go to the next slide. This just shows the vantage point looking towards downtown, down the East Lincoln Way. You can see the porch there with the sign and the setback to the sidewalk. If you go to the next slide, this just shows looking back towards what would be Boston Street as the stoplight on East Lincoln Way, away from downtown. And as you see, the neighbor's driveway right there. If you go to the next slide, sorry, flipping it back around there. So stop right there. This is showing from the vantage point of the neighbor's driveway. Staff feels that the proposed exceeding the sign height from 6 feet to 10 feet tall would be injurious to the neighboring property owners. And as you can see there with the stoplight as it is, the freestanding signs in the zoning ordinance are meant to be of low profile freestanding signs. as is required for outdoor advertising to protect the public safety, health, and welfare, and minimize the abundance and size of signs to reduce visual clutter and motorist distraction. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. This request to exceed the maximum sign height will substantially affect the use and value of adjacent properties because it does not conform to the requirements for low-profile freestanding signs on commercially zoned property. The intent of the sign regulations is to maintain and enhance the physical appearance of the community by encouraging signs of a consistent size that are compatible with and complementary to related commercial and residential buildings and uses on adjacent properties. And then the last thing that you are to consider is the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. The strict applications, if we were to limit the size of the sign to 6 feet tall, would not cause the petitioner to be able to use the property for the intended purpose to advertise the home occupation on a commercially zoned property in accordance with the zoning ordinance requirements. So staff does find that the variance of development standards petition is not in compliance with the zoning ordinance and does not conform to the goals and policies of the countywide land development plan. The intent of the sign regulations is to encourage low-profile freestanding signs that are compatible with their surroundings and uses. The petitioner's request to exceed the maximum freestanding sign height in the B2 General Commercial District from 6 feet to 10 feet tall is not consistent with the already permitted freestanding signs. Staff recommends denial of the petitioner's request to exceed the maximum sign height for a freestanding sign in the B2 General Commercial District from 6 feet to 10 feet tall. And I'll answer any questions if you have them.
So David, that sign itself is fine if he takes the poles down another 4 foot?
Yep. Basically the same height, the same height of the sign.
Yeah. Good question.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. I'll make a motion to, per the direction of David, to deny the request.
I'll second that. I think the concern for the driving isn't as merited, or for the pullout there on Lincoln Way isn't as merited as I appreciate the concern, but I think it's fine. So I think to break that variance or give that variance isn't necessary.
So
I second
we
that.
have-
Yeah, I
okay,
said second, yeah.
So we have a motion and a second.
Mhm.
So, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah, but
All-
Mark, would you repeat your motion, please?
My motion is to accept David's recommendation of denying his request for his sign, going with David's recommendation.
And I second Mark's motion.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
You are dismissed.
Yes.
Yes.
How long do I have to apply to lower?
David, how long does he have to get that sign lowered?
It's my busy season and as
Sure.
it is, I'm working 6 jobs a day.
That's not really a question for the BZA. I would direct you to code enforcement for that, but generally speaking, I'm sure the city is going to be accommodating to your busy schedule.
On your way out, the mayor, Tom Dermody's right there. He will have the number for code enforcement that you can call. Okay? Yep, they'll work with you.
Item 6 on the agenda. If the petitioner would like to step forward, please. Development of up to 24 residential townhomes.
Okay, so the first item is a request to allow for the development of up to 24 residential townhomes on property in the M2 heavy industrial district. We don't anticipate needing to develop up to 24. I think we're willing to lower that number, but we're going to be speaking to 3 different requests, 2 use variance requests and a developmental standards request. So the first one is with regard to the 24 residential townhomes. I can come up and speak to each of those individually, but the presentation that our partner, Advantix Corporation, is going to give, I'd like to just make once, so we're not making the same presentation 3 times because it all pertains to the same overall project package.
3 locations, 1 project.
3 locations, 1 project, totaling 42 to 45 total townhome and single-family units in the city. One of those sites does not require a use variance, but it's included in the package just for the purpose of being the whole package. So I'd like to invite Brandon Shields from Advantix Corporation to talk to you and to give you his presentation on this project. And then we'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
Don't forget to give your name, sir.
Oh, Brandon Shields, Advantix Development Corporation.
I'm having a hard time hearing anyone.
Yeah, Mark,
I got it. I got it now.
we're trying to get a PowerPoint going.
Okay, got it.
Talk amongst yourself. I'll give you a topic. The Partridge family was neither a partridge or a real family. Rode my bike around Clear Lake today, and I counted 16 people fishing. 16. What a great day. 5 of them on the new dock area there, David. It's a good addition. Oh, we got a question here.
Is that Jefferson Avenue on the top left-hand corner there?
Yes,
Jefferson
Jefferson
and Boyd.
Avenue, where Boyd and Jefferson tees off into Boyd there, right by the bank. Yep, no problem. You have any other questions while we wait? I can talk about my life, you know. No, but I did see 2 turtles, but I was looking for some fish, but no. And the people I talked to hadn't caught much, so they were a little persnickety today. Or they were just bad fishermen, we're not sure. So, anybody else excited about the upcoming Bears season? Yeah? Caleb Williams gonna
Yes.
bring us to the. All right, there we go.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that. Like I said, Brandon Shields, Advantix Development Corporation. Just a quick backstory for the background of Advantix. In 2007, we were formed. We are the 501c3 nonprofit development and construction arm at Evansville Housing Authority. We specifically put our focus and efforts into tax credit housing. LIHTC housing is more commonly referred to as tax credit. Saw the need and the effective, how effective the program was in creating affordable housing. It is the instrument that we almost exclusively use now due to the fact of how successful we have become with it, and the fact that it is truly a workforce housing. Any questions that may come after this, a lot of it's going to revolve around what is LIHTC, what is tax credit. In the simplest of form, it is workforce housing. You must have income to live at these types of properties. They are income restricted, they are rent restricted. So the tax credits are a mechanism where we essentially sell those tax credits to our investors. They in return give us the capital to get the project started, which gives us the ability to keep our rents affordable over a 15-year time frame and further beyond that as well. That's the simplest explanation of the tax credit program. Next. There's the about me. Go ahead and pass that one. So when we were approached a few months back, we talked about the potential and the need for affordable housing throughout LaPorte, and this is something that we've come up with. There are 3 main project sites, one off Roosevelt, one off Jefferson, and one off Boyd Boulevard. Total number of units will be 42 units, all 3-bedroom. There will be, I believe, 6 ADA compliant units there as well. There'll be a combination of single-family homes and multifamily townhomes as well. They will also have a lease purchase ownership possibility as well. So IHCDA, which is our governing body for the tax credit program in Indiana, they have really pushed the path from rental into homeownership the past few years. They've really tried to make it more achievable for people that are struggling and having a hard time going out and getting their own financing and whatnot. So somebody moves into the property, day one, their rent counts towards the purchase of it long term. There's a 15-year compliance window, but after 15 years, those properties have been paid down so much from us that they can purchase those for for pennies on the dollar. So you're talking a $220,000 unit may be able to purchase for $10,000 or $12,000 15 years down the road. So it's a newer program, it's a truly unique program, but it is something that IHCDA has really been pushing over the past few years. We build all to NGBS silver standards. That's about the highest you can go without going to a gold standard. A gold standard requires you to go through quite a bit more training, and it's very expensive. It's probably not even worth going that high, but and most contractors don't. All Energy Star appliance, and then we offer free Wi-Fi in our community centers, and anything that the residents have access to. The community center, any type of community space, all has free Wi-Fi. So somebody's working from home, Wi-Fi went down at their home, they could come over to the community center, they could use it all day, no problem. Next. This is one of our townhome examples. We can do a couple different things. We can do flat roof, pitch roof, things like that. This is a project that we actually built in Kokomo called Trailside Townhomes. It was a very sought after building, and met a lot of the criteria for what the city of Kokomo was looking for at the time. It's again very popular. We're going to build it again here soon, and again, this is in partnership with the city. Never forcing anything down anybody's throat as far as, hey, we got to build this, we got to. We're partners. We're willing to build just about whatever. So this is something that we've talked about together. This is actual completed version of one of the townhomes there. And then this is another one that's not flat obviously with the pitched roofs. This is something else that we're working on. Hopefully we can get a firm version of this one here in the next year. I think we plan on building this one, I believe in Muncie, I believe. So next. Single-family townhome, or single-family home example. I know there's a few neighborhoods that have more of the 2-story walk-up. Some are just whatever the neighborhood is, we will build to those standards. If the parking's on the back, we'll put the parking on the back. If the parking's on the front, we'll put it, again, we're able and willing partners in this. We'll do whatever it's required. Just another example of one with the front-facing porch. Next. Pass that one. So this is our first site layout. This one applies to the Roosevelt site. I believe this one has 16 units on it. This one is laid out with the clubhouse, and there's also a daycare facility is here as well. So one thing I will touch on as well, these are competitive applications. We compete against dozens of developers every year. You have one opportunity to do it at the end of July. So it's almost like they give you the scoring mechanisms, and they say, here you go after it, and whoever scores the highest, and wherever you can prove there's the most need, that's who IHC Data is awarding the developments to. So something that came up this year that's different from in the past was normally you have the same QAP for 2 years. That's the guidebook. That's the scoring mechanisms. This year it's a 1-year temporary QAP. And what they've done this year is they've really focused on underserved communities, rural communities. They're looking for communities that really haven't had a development in the past 10 years or longer. Those give you bonus points. And the longer it's been, the more bonus points you get. They also try to factor in some services this year, so that's where the daycare comes in. They see the need. They see the teachers. They see the firefighters. They see the police officers. They see people showing up to work a couple days and not being able to show up multiple days. They don't have daycare. I've spoken to 3 school systems in the past month. All 3 communities that we're working in, all 3 have teachers that cannot show up to work because they do not have good daycare. So they are actually putting daycare programs inside their own schools. That way they can get, essentially free daycare. They can get free childcare, and they can actually show up and work. So again, that will be on this main site as well. Next. This is the East Jefferson site. There's nothing on the agenda for tonight for this site. It did not require any type of special use or variance or anything, but these will have all of the single-family homes on this site. And then this is the Ridgeway Lake or the Boyd Boulevard site. So on this one we have, this one we only, I know we're going up to 24. We only plan on having 13. So we're looking at, again, scattering them pretty evenly across across all of the sites. When we discuss sites, we try to keep the economies of scale to where they make sense. It's hard to build on 1 unit here and 2 units there and 1 unit there. It's construction and management are pretty strained when it comes to that. So these are sites that are pretty well laid out, and we feel good about the plan here. Next. In December of 22, I believe it was the Healthcare Foundation was kind enough to help generate a housing study for the city of LaPorte. It's, I believe, 46 pages. This is the most important page that I pulled out of it. This shows the need. This shows the need for affordable housing in LaPorte. It shows the need for specifically what we are doing. We are looking at 30% AMI, 50% AMI, 80% AMI. That will touch people in every single income brackets. So if you're making $30,000 a year, you could go in one of the lower ones. If you're making 50, you could go in one of the middle ones. And then 80% AMI, a lot of 80% AMI renters could also buy a house too. If you're talking family of 4, 80% AMI can make $65,440 a year. That is truly working class. That is truly the working families that need the help here. So it's a study that I have a link to. I know Craig has a link to it as well. We can share it if anybody would like to see it. But the biggest takeaway from that study was this page. This speaks to our development investment. Just kind of go through the sources. I won't bore with everybody with all of the details of how the LIHTC program works when it comes to this, but basically your total all-in investment for the community is $13,184,500. That is from townhomes to the single family to all the amenities that we will provide. It's a total of $13 million. So that's a pretty significant investment into the community for affordable housing. Next. And then as far as project timeline goes, They do take a little bit of time. Like I said, the applications are due in July, the end of July this year. We'll get our first round of questions where they just, you know, the state, you know, has a few clarifications they need. And, that'll come about October, and then in November is when they will announce the awards. If we are awarded the project, then we start our closing and due diligence period almost immediately. So that's where we shop for our tax credit investors, update all of our market studies and our environmental phase ones and things like that. That can take 9 to 12 months. It really depends on the market, and it really depends on the investors and how quickly they're willing to move. Once we close on that, should be the end of 25. Construction will begin immediately. Obviously, we'll go through the city and get the proper permits and make sure all final plans are approved, signed off on by the city. And then from there, you're 12 to 14 months. Generally, when it's not a fully scattered site, when you're not looking at 50 different sites, 50 different single-family homes, we can usually get it done in 12 months. And then you're looking at, obviously, leasing end of 26. So it's about a 2.5 year, you know, timeline as far as start to finish. It's just par for the course. That's how the tax credit program works. So I believe that's it. So the only other thing I really have to add is Advantix, while we've not been around for 100 years, we're very successful because we take a very calculated approach. We don't just throw things at the wall and hopefully it sticks. We don't have the manpower to do that. That's just not our MO. That's not how we operate. We talk to communities, we talk to mayors, you know, city council, whoever. What do you need? What do you need in your community? This is a true partnership. The need for affordable housing is not limited to LaPorte or Indiana. It is nationwide. There is a nationwide affordable housing shortage. And we're just doing our part, just a small part in trying to fill that gap and trying to make sure that people have a place to go. If my boss was here, he would tell you about his own personal story. Grew up in the same type of housing, grew up with nothing, and his story speaks to every working family that is struggling. That's struggling every day because gas is almost $4 a gallon, because groceries are astronomical right now. I have 2 girls that are eating me out of the house every day right now. I mean, it's a true need. It is a true need, and again, whatever we can do to help and partner and make this, you know, successful, we're here for it. We're all for it. There is our website, AdvantixDevelopmentCorp.com, I believe, that you can go to and you can see all of our projects. We manage our own projects. They're very successful. We don't have a lot of issues with them. Again, we take calculated risk, and we build properties that make sense for everybody. So I kind of close with that, and if you have any other questions, feel free to.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple questions for you. So just because I take variances very seriously, right? We're asking people to essentially change the rules to do projects, right? And so I take it very seriously. But you mentioned that you're kind of the nonprofit wing of the Evansville Housing Authority, right?
Correct.
So you're based down in Evansville.
Correct.
But you're doing these in other parts of the state.
Yes.
You mentioned Muncie. Where else are you doing them?
So we have multiple projects in Kokomo.
Okay.
We have multiple projects in Marion, Muncie, and then last year we were awarded South Bend and Elkhart, both.
Okay.
Both similar projects. Both of those are pretty scattered, a lot of infill development. Corden School Senior Lofts in Corden, Indiana. That one's really far away, but that's that one. And then we're working on 4 for this year.
Great. That helps me out to know that you're not just, you know, building these and then going back down to Evansville.
For sure.
But also, you said affordable housing, right? That is a buzzword that is thrown around a lot, as you know, right? Because affordable in one community is not affordable in another. And so I was raised by a single mom in a trailer, so affordable housing means a lot to me. What does Advantix mean when they talk about affordable housing and things like this? What is the average person that you want to get into these?
So the rents for, again, they're tiered based off like a 3-bedroom, 30% unit, I believe is $500 a month.
Okay.
I believe the 3-bedroom 50s are about 900, they're 850 to 900. And then the 3-bedroom 80%, which is your highest AMI, that's where you can make the most money. I believe those are just under 12, like 1185, 1190.
Okay, thank you. That's what I didn't hear those numbers. I think you said them, but I forgot them. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have. Mark, do you have any questions?
I do not.
So at this point, I'll open it up for public comment. And please, public, keep everything to 3 minutes.
With public comment, it's okay. If you've never done public comment, we're glad you are. Just come up to the podium, name and address, and then say your piece. And I'm glad you're here.
Jeff Mackey, thanks for your time. 720 Boyd Boulevard, directly across the street from this proposed Ridgeway Lake property. I got the notice last week in the mail, really short. Maybe that's to the law, I have no idea. But I kind of felt a little shortchanged on that. Didn't get a chance to do any really due diligence on this whole thing. Spoke with the gentleman today briefly on the phone. We're in an industrial area. I expect the other buildings to be built. Schaffner's got property. There's properties to the north of us on the east side for sale, for development, for business, for manufacturing. This is, to what I understand, was an unbuildable piece of property based on the area that it's in, the depression and kind of wetland, if you will. There was a retention pond built there just a couple years back to the east and south of that proposed triangle. Yep. And it's a very busy area. The other two areas that he just mentioned, I have no idea about those, but great idea for housing. I'm completely opposed to housing being put across the street of Boyd Boulevard from my property. Like I said, I expected other businesses to be there, other industrial manufacturing, what have you, because that's what it's zoned for, and I take that very seriously too. Appreciate that, Nate, as far as your consideration about that, and safety factors, a lot of traffic on Boyd. It just does not seem a practical place to put families, 14 to 24 units, children. Where the in and outs? Is there a stoplight going to be placed there? Things for safety for the people that would live there. It just, I'm there every day, and there's a lot of truck traffic. There's a lot of vehicles back and forth. Don't know the numbers, but it seems to me a very unlikely place for a residential area to be placed. So my vote is no for that particular spot. The others, fantastic. Down Jefferson, what have you, that's residential back there. It's a very safe, good place to put people and to build homes for the workforce, as has been put to me a couple of times today about the building of the workforce in the city, which I own 3 businesses here in the county, and I'm totally about workforce. I'm 100% pro on people. So anything I could do to support that, I'm happy to, especially hiring more people. But as far as housing them on Boyd Boulevard in that property there, I'm against it.
All right, thank
So,
you.
for the
Thank you so
record.
much.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Next. By the way, you did that in 2.5 minutes. Well done. All right, 3 minutes. Name and address, please.
Sure, thank you. My name is Edward Bozick. I'm representing the Avian Corporation, which operates the Socotec facility at 707 Boyd Boulevard. I'm actually not stationed here, so I'm from Ohio, but the plant manager couldn't be here today, so I'm representing in her stead. So we have much the same concerns, especially being adjacent to the proposed property. Between the noise and the traffic and the potential within that industrial area, we really have a lot of concerns, especially if we decide to expand that site. We may stretch kind of shipping docks on that side of the building, and really, really concerned with the amount of truck traffic. And I mean, if anybody's been over there, I know it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, but it doesn't really apply to a lot of different individuals coming down that road. Today alone, I've seen some bulk farm equipment kind of barreling down, so we share much of the same concerns. I know our legal consult did provide commentary. Hopefully you guys, the board, did receive that in advance. I think we submitted that on June 6th for your consideration as well. So we appreciate you guys evaluating that and taking our position on this matter. But right now, we strongly object to building over there on Boyd Avenue for this purpose. Fully support the affordable housing, workforce development, again, much like the other gentleman stated, always looking to hire. I think we're a good corporate citizen, been here for a while. We plan to be here for long term. So we're really excited about the partnership with LaPorte and the city here. So, you know, anything you could do to support us in this manner and maybe find a different location than the Boyd would be beneficial to our operations. So other than that, I think all of our commentary was provided formally in that document, and hopefully that gets incorporated into the assessment. I think I covered everything that I needed to. So I appreciate the time. Thank you for having me today.
Hey, thanks so much.
Okay?
Yeah, be careful on your way back to Ohio. If you're
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks. All right, is there another? Any more? Yeah, come on up. You're fine.
Good evening.
Name,
Mike Riley.
address. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, 605 Michigan with LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. Just here, I'm not here to speak on the specifics of the particular projects, but ultimately on the need for housing. I think you guys all understand the need we have for housing. We deal with not only the projects that have been announced that are coming into the community, but also the existing businesses that have needs for their employees. And a lot of those needs, I know the definition of affordable, as Nate, you mentioned, is somewhat arbitrary in terms of how you look at it, but ultimately, the employers that we speak to all want those affordable options for their employees. Ultimately, they are asking, their number one concern out of the pandemic was that they needed bodies. That has converted to, we need housing, and housing close, because transportation falls probably number 2 behind the housing issue. And these projects, at least in my opinion, and I understand the concerns of some of the folks that have come up here in terms of, you know, when it's getting close to your locale or your business, obviously you've got more in-depth review of the project, and you want to make sure it's going to be a viable project moving forward. But ultimately, these people want, or the employers want, people that can walk to their businesses, to their facilities, and the projects that you're showing here fit that bill. One of the largest employers in our county is out at that location off of Boyd Boulevard. I know that they've talked in the past about needing residence, apartment complexes, those kind of things where those folks can actually walk to their work because they have transportation issues that they have to deal with on a daily basis. So at least from that standpoint, I'm born and raised here. I'm a prior banker, so I understand the issues when you're trying to talk about affordable as compared to what interest rates are and what the cost of building a house is. So that's a little touchy situation, but ultimately we need it, and trying to build those at a reasonable price, you have to pull in companies like this that actually understand how to do that and use tax credits in their favor, and I think you should consider it. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, next. Welcome, welcome. Billy Joel fan. Here we go. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Sue Antashevsky. I live at 101 Belden, which is at the point of Belden Pine Bach for the 111 Roosevelt.
Okay.
My concern is, will these properties be for outright sale? If they're townhomes rent to own, or are they just rent to own? Will they be a mix of you can stay if you only want to rent? Can you outright buy if you would like to? I'm all for affordable housing, just like everybody else is also, but what is affordable? What would an ending price or an ending cost for one unit be? Is it $350? Is it $150? I mean, I would really like to hear that type of the cost involved. Also, my main concern is if you want to put residential housing there, wonderful. People that will invest in the city buying their own homes. My fear is with all these properties, with the banks, with everything that is coming in, you're turning the city into a transient city. No one is invested in the city like a homeowner. So that's my biggest concern. Also, have there been traffic studies? Has there been infrastructure studies? has there been a daycare study of what would be needed? Is the daycare for the city or just for the people that live there? Because as of right now, a lot in Polton, it's called Pole Town over there. A lot of concerns in Pole Town, excuse me, I'm not a good public speaker. A lot of concerns in Pole Town right now, our streets are awful, our sidewalks are awful. What is this gonna do to the existing infrastructure that already doesn't get taken care of? So, plus, not only where that parcel is located, it is smack dab in the middle of our neighborhood. If you have all these townhomes that I would guess are gonna be a little bit more modern, I don't know, I think this is the same company that built the banks, if I'm not mistaken,
No,
or no?
no, no,
Okay.
no.
If it's gonna be more modern, you're just putting the death knell into that neighborhood. If you're putting 20 rentals in there, you're taking away just the charm of it, and not only that, again, you're just making a transient city, and that's my biggest concern.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you
And,
so much.
again, opposed.
I'd like to let the public know that the petitioner is taking notes, so he will come back up to answer the public's questions all in one.
All good questions. Anyone else? All right, welcome.
Hi,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you. Good evening. My name is Eric DeWald, and I'm here representing the Health Foundation of LaPorte. And I just wanted to say that we are conveying our support to the city for affordable housing. One of the reasons is that the rising cost of housing can actually force low-income families and individuals to make difficult choices, sometimes between rent and paying for other things like medications or healthy food. This can lead to a lot of healthcare issues like chronic diseases, mental health problems, and delayed or just foregone healthcare completely. So when we invest in affordable housing, like our study has shown, that can actually improve health outcomes, increase productivity in the area, and also reduce healthcare costs. So we just wanted to come and publicly say that we're here to support the city in this effort. And thank you very much. And I know I didn't give you my address, business address or home address or both.
Whatever, as long as it's in LaPorte.
Okay, Healthcare Foundation is at 140 East Shore Parkway in LaPorte.
Thank
And
you.
hey,
Thank
welcome
you.
to the community, Eric. Good to have
Thank
you
you
here.
very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Other public comment?
Welcome, welcome.
Hi, I'm Shannon Walker. I'm Vice President at Unity Foundation of LaPorte County. We're also here to offer support for all the affordable and workforce housing efforts. My address, I live in LaPorte, 2707 South Collins Drive in LaPorte. Our headquarters for Unity Foundation is actually based in Michigan City. We are LaPorte County's community foundation, so our mission is to strengthen LaPorte County now and forever. Unity actually spearheaded LaPorte County's first ever housing study, which was completed in 2021 through consultants Green Street, based in Indianapolis, and it triggered subsequent studies, including the Health Foundation of LaPorte study. The housing study built upon the Vibrant Communities of LaPorte County Action Agenda, in which affordable and diverse housing was identified as the #1 priority. And full details can be found at vibrantlpcounty.com under resources. The problem is existing middle-income residents have few options if their housing needs change. The workforce LaPorte County needs to attract has few options to move into the county closer to work. Constrained hiring means constrained economic development. Population numbers may not grow until this need is sufficiently met. The final analysis of that housing study revealed that the LaPorte County stakeholders need to ensure the correct housing options are available for current and future residents, especially the workforce LaPorte is trying to attract and retain. The study also revealed the 10-year goal for LaPorte County workforce affordable housing is 3,300 units over the next 10 years. It's also important to note that LaPorte County housing permits have lagged for decades. As of 2022, LaPorte County had just over 200 total annual residential housing permits. Our neighbors in Porter, St. Joseph, and Lake counties have significantly higher numbers, averaging 600 to 800 housing permits per county. But we offer our support for the affordable and workforce housing efforts in the city of LaPorte.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank
Take
you.
care. All right, next. Hello, sir. How are you?
Why, if I were any better, they'd be taxing me. Wait a minute, they are taxing me. I'm Merle Miller. My address now is 150 Sagamore, but my previous address was 111 Roosevelt. That seems to have come up before. That's the Washington School property. And I lived there for 28 years and loved the place and great neighborhood. But when I moved in there, the neighborhood was just in a furor because they thought there were going to be 6 apartments there. And this was all single-family housing in the whole neighborhood. And all those houses sell for much under $100,000, many under $50,000. And to see that someone says $200,000+ is affordable housing in that area just seems to be over the top, because over $200,000, the interest alone in the first year would be $12,000 to $14,000. I don't know how you can rent or buy a house when you have $14,000 in interest, plus taxes, plus insurance, and then there's a little bit for buying off the principal. I think we're looking at something that's a pipe dream. I don't know, but that's just me. I lived in the neighborhood for 28 years. Loved that neighborhood, loved that building. I wish it would stay. I wish someone would buy it and would make a theater out of it or something useful for the city. Thank you very much for your time. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Merle. Thanks for your service. All right, welcome.
Hello. My name is Nancy Gorski, and I live right across the street from Roosevelt, 406 Box Street. You keep talking about affordable housing. You have all of these empty houses. People want $5,000, $3,000, $4,000 to move in to a house where they pay $13,000, $14,000 a month. You already have these places in progress. Why do you want to tear down and build up more places that's going to have black mold, whatever? I just, like the other woman said, our neighborhood has bad sidewalks. I don't have a parking spot. I have to go down an alleyway that's got all kinds of big holes in it that I have to fill. The city doesn't fill them, but they'll come tell me I got a code enforcement for something wrong, but you guys don't do anything. I have a sidewalk in front of my house that's up and down because there's a tree. I get told by the mayor, I'm a rude person because I disagree with half of the things that are going on in that neighborhood. You come in there, you decide we're going to buy this building and we're going to tear it down and we're going to put in low-income housing. So we bring in the lowest of people to a neighborhood. You want to build up LaPorte? Build up the empty houses that are already out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why oppose?
Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm Chastity Hightower. I live at 410 Bach across from Roosevelt. I love my neighborhood. I have serious concerns about a daycare being there just because of the cross streets and stuff that are already located there and the amount of traffic that's there. We have several train stops that's going there, plus the city is already looking at moving the overpass in that direction, which is going to increase the traffic flow that's there. The houses that are there, the people that you're talking about is me. There's no way that I could look at affording $1,200 a month for rent. So I do believe that's a little bit above people's income, at least discretionary income, for what they have going on right now. Could there something that could be done there? Yes. And I think the city could look at more options besides the little notice that we got saying that the house will match the residential area. If you look around, each and every home there is unique and individual. So I think that's going to be a hard sell for the community to face. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other public comments? At this time, I'll close the public comment and open back up for
The city and
applicants.
Okay, so I can only speak to the facts. So let me start with the rent side. I mentioned the rents, I'll reiterate them again. 500, 900, and 1120 is what the rents are. So not just to focus on the one highest one. Again, the rents serve people of all different types of income. So from low to middle to high, that's just a fact. That's how the program works. The daycare is available to the public. It's available to everybody. We have partnered with Paladin. They will be running the daycare for us. It's not officially signed yet, but we have an agreement in principle. So we have an MOU signed with them to manage that for us. The townhomes, again, the lease purchase part of that, just to further elaborate, you can absolutely rent them. You can rent them and stay in there for 100 years if you want to. You can buy it if you want to after the 15-year compliance period to start. You may have 10 people come and go in the first 15 years. It's just, it's still rental. It's still a rental. You just have to get past that 15-year, it's like having a 15-year mortgage, and then you technically own it. So if you don't want to stay, if you want to go, if you got married and you have $500,000 a year in income now and you're going to build a house, I mean, so be it. It's just a rental property. It's just a rental at that point. And then the next person moves in and they can still try to do the same thing. They can still try to use the lease purchase program to buy that when time comes. And then I know that there's the traffic concerns come up. In every one of these meetings, traffic concerns always come up. We're based out of Evansville, 114,000 people there. We have over 1,000 units there. We never have safety issues. We never have, we don't have these types of problems. It's just, it's one of the things that you kind of immediately go to, where there's going to be children on the streets, there's going to be children. There can be children on any street in anywhere in the world. And it's just, it's not going to change. If we were trying to build 500 units, cram them into a downtown location, absolutely. I would absolutely. But we're talking 42 units scattered amongst, it's not going to affect the traffic. And I think Craig can kind of speak to that a little bit as well. So it's just, it's never been a problem. In all the years we've been doing this, traffic and safety for the children it's never been an issue. That's just a fact. So.
Thank you. Craig?
I'll just add a few more points. With regard to some of the questions about studies that have been done, so there was a housing study conducted, as was mentioned, that was completed in 2022. What that housing study showed us in LaPorte was that we need housing of all types in terms of the type of housing itself, whether it's apartments or it's single-family homes or townhouses or whatever, across the board. There's a significant need for those at both a rental and an ownership level and at all income levels. And so the city is very actively involved, myself being, very actively involved in working with developers on providing for those needs across all levels. So we're focused on affordable housing projects, we're focused on market rate, kind of middle income type projects, development projects, and we're focused on higher end product that will serve people at the executive level that we're also very much lacking in our community. So across the board, and we have examples of those types of projects underway currently in the city or in the planning stages of going through the Plan Commission or city council if there's zoning involved in that sort of thing, both currently and very recently. We have a plan for a mixture of business park and housing to provide for walkability and access to jobs and opportunities in the vicinity of the intersection of Jefferson and Boyd Boulevard. There are lots of examples across, there are endless examples across the city where industrial and residential coexist peacefully. In fact, that's the way that we used to build cities. That's the way we need to go back to building cities, is making cities more walkable. And as long as you handle the interaction between those properties directly, in terms of the proper buffering, making sure that traffic is handled properly, things like that, they should be able to coexist peacefully. And so we have plans to extend Jefferson further to the east. There are opportunities for additional housing further to the east along that roadway as well. There's a significant amount of housing planned to the west of the site on Jefferson. in the future. And so this is not going to be the only housing in this area, and they're going to be a mixture of business park and housing opportunities and projects in this area. It just so happens that the properties that exist today are mostly industrial, but not only industrial. There's a mixture of those types as you go farther south along Boyd Boulevard. And again, we have lots of examples, whether it's on Factory Street or it's you know, in the vicinity of the actual Roosevelt site. You know, we have employers that are within walking distance of the Roosevelt site. We have examples of that all throughout the community. And so I don't think we should be afraid of providing housing in close proximity to employers within the community. And there was mention made, I believe it was by Mr. Riley, that there was a request on the part of one of our biggest employers who actually bought this property from on Boyd Boulevard in particular, that they were very desirous of having housing within walking distance of their facility because they want to provide for that need for their employees. The city engineer has reviewed the traffic situation with regard to these sites. Bach Street is designated as a collector according to the roadway classification system that's laid out by the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. It is more than adequate to handle the number of trips per day that would be generated from, you know, the 16 or 17 units that are planned for the Roosevelt site. And obviously Boyd Boulevard is more than adequate for handling all types of traffic. And I believe it's an arterial, if I'm not mistaken, which is an even higher classification of roadway. Zoning standards as they stand today would allow for an equivalent number of homes on the property as to what's being proposed on the Washington school site. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that currently somebody could come in and propose basically 16 homes on that site.
That's the site you were saying doesn't really need the approval?
So we're talking about, so the issue here, the use approval we're requesting here is for townhomes. Yeah. But you could build 16 single-family homes on this site today. These are just clustered in terms of being in groups of 4, most likely groups of 4 at the most, sometimes less. So those same number of homes, from the standpoint of concerns about traffic generated, you know, people that are going to be coming and going from the site, you could build those same 16 homes on this site today based on the current zoning. And then in terms of the concerns about architecture, one of the things that we were most impressed about with Advanix was they've made it clear from the get-go that they want to work with the city to build what would fit in with the neighborhood that we have in that area. So it's our desire that what we build in terms of the townhomes that are proposed on that site have gable roofs. They've shown examples of that. They're continually willing to update their designs. We've looked at all sorts of different options. We have flat roof designs that we think would be a better fit for the Boyd Boulevard site, for example. There are pitched roof designs that look more like homes, and the homes in this area are a combination of 1- and 2-story homes with mostly with gable roofs, and we want to take, excuse me, we want to take that into account when we design the individual units on the property. So those are just some additional comments we want to make in response to some of the comments made, and hopefully that helps provide some additional clarity. Happy to answer any other questions you have.
Yeah, because there was a question about the daycare, and you had kind of answered a little bit about, but is that for all residents or just the residents of your community, your advantage?
It's for the entire city of LaPorte.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
Craig, and for you, you know, I think our industrial friends that are here, I think have some concerns, right? I mean, we talk about zoning changes, and one of our considerations for zoning changes is how it's going to affect their neighbors, and they're going to get a bunch of more neighbors, right? And so I understand some of their concerns, saying, so if they're going to grow their factory, or if they're going to grow their industrial site and put some garages on there or whatever, loading docks, it is now a concern that they've got an apartment complex right here, right? So I understand these concerns.
We understand those concerns, but there are plenty of examples of factories that have expanded in the city that are adjacent to residential in various areas.
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me. And I understand some of the traffic concern. I live on Jefferson, not far away from Boyd.
Right.
And so I understand Boyd is a mess at times, right? And I know the city knows this.
Yeah.
And you talk about walkability, but it is not a walkable road at all. And so, I mean,
we have plans to expand that walkability by providing pathways along Boyd.
Okay, yeah.
And the city previously designated the area along Boyd Boulevard as a greenway corridor. The idea would be to carry the greenway, the 18th Street Greenway concept of the pathway alongside the road along Boyd Boulevard from the west around when it comes down to 35, from where it comes down, you know, from 35 up along Boyd all the way up to State Road 2 ultimately with pathways. In addition to the site that the city owns is a mixture of wetlands, drainage, developable sites. There's a whole myriad of options on that site. And there's a variety of different areas for different types of development on that property. It's a very large property. So we have areas that were purchased for the purpose of additional employers. We have areas that are not as suitable for the production of products because of the size of the site, which in this case, this site is not conducive to building an industrial use on, because once you apply setbacks and other requirements for development of an industrial site, it's that particular site where we want to locate these townhomes is just not conducive to those similar types of operations that you have on other parts of Boyd Boulevard. In addition to that, there are plans for extending roadways, putting in additional paths, that sort of thing, you know, in this area. And so it's all part of a bigger picture for the development of this whole area. So.
Yeah, and I guess that's all I wanted to hear, is that the city knows that just putting these in this location here, that this Boyd Boulevard area is not ready for these, but it sounds like you guys know that,
there are 3 primary areas where residential will be located in close proximity to these employers.
Yep.
West, center, and if this is approved.
Yep.
And east, closer to Fail Road. There are some other, you know, so there's not just one place where this is happening, and it's also happening on other parts of Boyd South. From this site as well.
Like I said, as long as I hear that there's
be
infrastructure improvements that you guys are looking at to make sure that this is walkable, right? Because let's not talk about walkability if it's not walkable.
Right, and there are other industrial sites that are yet to be developed that are zoned for industrial property that'll be in close proximity to other residential properties that are either developing in the case of Whispering Meadows, for example.
Sure.
There's an industrial zone piece of property next to Whispering Meadows. It can be developed as long as setbacks are adhered to, buffers are applied, that kind of thing. And there's land also on Boyd, on both sides of Boyd going south, that's also approximate, you know, in close proximity to industrial property. So,
yep.
It's the area by its very nature is kind of a mixture of uses anyway.
Yep, absolutely.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Mark, do you have any questions?
Do not.
Still want me to combine these?
You can if you want to, is all I was saying.
Yeah, sure. So, if there's no further questions from staff, if we want to take action on this, what action would we like to take? And also, we have the opportunity to combine item 6 and item 7 if we are going to take action. Item 7 is the 20-foot yard setback construction of townhome residential units on the property.
Yeah, I think it's important for those in attendance to know that we don't approve, like, the limits of what we can approve and what we can't approve. We don't approve the site design. We don't approve what they're gonna look at. You're gonna have other boards that you're gonna talk to about that, and I encourage you to talk to them. I encourage you to make your voice known. We just approve, can the zoning be changed here, and should it? And so I'll make a motion to approve both of those zoning changes.
For item
Second.
6 and 7?
Yep.
Okay.
Mark, say that again.
Second.
All right, we've got a
Thank
motion
you.
and a second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve items 6 and 7 combined. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Does
Motion
David
passes.
need to do roll call or no?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
We heard everybody.
Item 8 goes along with, it's one of the other properties for, if the petitioner would like to step forward. give a brief summary of just this property?
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
So this is, item 8 is the use
Wait.
variance for the
No,
Roosevelt
we already
property.
did this, yeah.
You guys gave the presentation for 8 at the same time.
We did, I'm just
Yes.
clarifying that item 8 is for the use variance for the Roosevelt property, that's
Yeah,
all I wanted to
You
say.
just did the
I
presentation for all
don't think
three of
we
them.
need to read.
We don't.
Yeah,
restart.
just
Okay.
restating what the petition was, yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance change for the Roosevelt property.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the item number 8. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
All right, old business.
Do we have any old business,
Nope,
new business?
none that I have.
I do not.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a
So
motion
moved.
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank